Hello everybody and welcome back to day number 5 of the 10-day jazz piano basics course. I think it's about that time where we talk about improvisation, because now we've gotten down how to play root third seventh, how to play chords, and how to play a song really, and I hope that you've been practicing. So now we want to talk about improvisation and how to get even more creative within the chords and the harmony. And the first thing really when it comes to improvisation for me, you have to know what key you're playing in. If you checked out day 4 of this course, you will see that I was working over the tune Autumn Leaves, of which I will use the same tune for today. So if you're not familiar with Autumn Leaves, or if you did not check out day number 4, I'm going to just give a quick rundown of the tune and then we can get straight into it. So Autumn Leaves is in the key of B flat major and it starts on chord 2, which is C minor. I'm voicing everything root third seventh still, as we did in the previous course. I just want to outline the harmony really, nothing much. Chord 5, chord 1, chord 4, 2 of chord 6 or chord 7 in the key of B flat major, and then 5 of 6, and then chord 6. Now you'll notice this tune is very diatonic. The word diatonic means it is within the key. All the chords here, or most of them anyway, are found within the key. So that means that we can play a B flat major scale over the whole tune really. So before we start, here I'm dealing with B flat major bebop scale, meaning I have a passing step between 5 and 6. And the reason we use a bebop major scale is because when we don't have that, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 notes. It's an even number, meaning that whenever we play the scale, it's gonna land perfectly on the downbeat on a chord tone of a chord. Whereas if we just played 7 notes, it won't necessarily land on a chord tone. That's the first exercise. What I want you to be able to do, or try to start to work on, is to take a scale and literally run it from the top of the piano all the way down while playing the chord changes in your left hand. So something like this, like lands perfectly on the 3rd of G minor. You can also do it going from the bottom up. The second thing I want you guys to do is to do a variation of that. So don't just play the scale, up and down. Try different patterns. This is a suggestion that you can use. So number 3, The third exercise is arpeggiating. So arpeggios are really important. Arpeggios just literally means breaking up a chord into its chord tones and playing it at different ranges on the piano. So for instance, an arpeggio of chord 2 would be, and in jazz, arpeggios for the most part are used up to the 9th. Most of the time they start from the 3rd of the chord or on the 5th of the chord, and they go up to the 9th. There are instances where an arpeggio can be used, just in root position from the root, but for the most part, if you listen to jazz tunes, you'll know what I mean. It starts always on the 3rd, and the 9th almost always precedes here at the bottom. So there's always a half step that precedes the 3. So you'll just do, and these arpeggiated outlines are used primarily on minor chords and major chords. So what I want you to do is, wherever you see a major chord or a minor chord in this tune, or whatever tune you're working on, I want you to arpeggiate it. So so from the minor chord, we're going from the 3rd, but you could totally also go from the 5th. So we'll do a half step from the 5th. So we'll do something like this. You might be asking, what do I use for the A half diminished? So a half diminished chord is really a minor chord with the 6 in the bass. I do have a video on that. You might find it super useful if you're confused about half diminished chords or how they function. It's still C minor, so I treat it as C minor really. So I'm using the same arpeggio. Workout number 4, or concept number 4, is the idea of resolving to a major or a minor chord. So most of the time, major and minor chords are preceded by a chord 5 or a point of tension that really wants to resolve down to the 3rd or the 5th of the major chord. So I want you to resolve by doing something like, so here's a 2 to the 5, and then I want you to just to practice the idea of landing nicely on the 1. We don't always have to do that, but it's So this is the part of the video where I want to talk to you about transcribing. Transcriptions are so important. Where would I be without transcribing? Really, where would I be? It's so important to learn the language by copying. You can put it like that, for lack of a better word, because when you copy, you are able to be more creative, contrary to what it may seem like. When you copy, you build language so that you have more language to work with. So it's really important to take, I would highly recommend that you transcribe a full solo so that you can really get the concept or the way in which the artist was thinking. But you don't necessarily have to do that. You can take parts of a solo that you particularly like, and you can put that through all 12 keys and start to implement it in your playing. So once you have the basics down, which is basically the first 4 exercises that I mentioned now, being able to play through a major scale, being able to arpeggiate, being able to resolve to chord tones, these are kind of basic harmonic principles or ways of getting around chords. But when you're trying to be creative and when you're trying to play a language, particularly the bebop language, you have to listen to the artist to play the bebop language. So transcribing is so important. Again, I would recommend you transcribe the whole solo. I do have a video on tips on how to transcribe, just to make your life a little easier. I have some tips that I compiled in a video, and you can find the video above. Other than that, I do have two licks, as it's called. One is by Bud Powell and one is from Donnelly, and I want you to take these and practice them through all 12 keys. I will also have sheet music of it. So the first one is a Bud Powell one, and I took it from the recording Ornithology. So it goes, I think Bud Powell started from, but I'm just going to do a shortened version of it. And what you want to do now, wherever you see a 2/5, which really in this song you'll only need one, I want you to use this line. So before we start, for the A half diminished, again I treat it as if it's a C, it's a 2/5 over C minor. So I'm still going to treat it as C minor to F7, because these chords share chord tones, so you know. The second lick, which I find is pretty useful, is a Charlie Parker lick taken from the tune Donnelly. Now, when you look at early bebop tunes, particularly Charlie Parker tunes and even Bud Powell tunes, they've got so much language in them that you could literally learn the tune in all 12 keys and you'll have a lot of language under your fingers. So not necessarily a line that he played while he was being creative in his improv, but this is specifically coming from the head of the tune Donnelly. So it's the tune Donnelly goes, so that's the lick. And how I'm going to use the chord is I'm going to use just the first half of the lick, I mean. I'm only going to be using that part. Maybe play it a little later so it lands better, but I don't mind landing like that anyway, so we'll use it here. Or you could play it earlier. Because you could complete it, you know. Resolving a chord doesn't always mean that you need to resolve on the one, you know, like twing gang gwing gung quang quang quang. You know, you could always resolve in the middle of a line and then continue the line. You know, if I do, So the last two lines, you definitely want to take a 2/5 backing track and play it through all 12 keys and really have it over your fingers, so that whatever tune you play, you have the line under your fingers. Whenever you hear it while you're improvising it, try it, you know, when there's a 2/5 or just even a 5 on its own. You can add those two licks at the end. Now, when you working on these things, it's always important to apply, as you have been seeing me trying to do with the backing. Try to let your ear lead you as well. You know, as a piano player, you can sometimes rely too much on your visuals because the keyboard is so nicely laid for you, but try to sometimes even look away, you know, just be jamming there like, you know, there will be times when you need to look. But try not to rely so much on the visual aspect. So let your ear lead you. And if you've been practicing these exercises long enough, there will come a time at any point in any song that you will literally hear that line in your mind, or the sound of the line, and you'll be compelled to play it. So it's not always a matter of finding a 2/5 within a song and trying to fit a line that you've been checking out. Try to practice it so much that it's always ringing in your mind, you know, so that it comes out as naturally as possible. There's nothing wrong though with trying to fit a lick in, but personally, you try to do that more often in your practice room, and then when you're just playing, try to let your ear lead you, what you're feeling, what the song is asking for as well. So check out your own artists that you like, your own lines and ideas, and try to implement them over the song that you're working on, and you will see things will start to come together the more you practice. And you try to also practice a tune in more than one key, but nonetheless there will be more videos for you on just how to navigate jazz music, and I hope these videos are helping. But I just want to say bye for now. There's sheet music available for you. I've written out all these exercises, so it's about 6 sheets of music that you'll have access to. It's $5 on the Score Exchange link. Yeah, and stay tuned to day number 6, where I'll be talking about left hand voicings. You're gonna wanna stick around for that, because left hand voicings can really change the game of your playing. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please give me a like and subscribe. There's so many people on my analytics that are not subscribed. If you made it this far, you might as well subscribe. Okay, I'll see you again in the next one. Bye.